Hi everyone, it's Willow, and on today's episode of No Silly Questions, we are answering, what is drag all about? There are no silly questions, so ask away at outcenter.org/questions. Where does the term drag come from? Here's an explanation from a 2018 article from the website Them about the term. In 1870, the Reynolds newspaper of the United Kingdom printed the word in a gender-bending context in reference to a party invitation. "We shall come in drag," which means men wearing women's costumes, the paper read. This definition probably originated in the theater of the late 1800s, where male performers wore petticoats to perform as women. Their petticoats would drag on the floor, so they referred to dressing up as women as putting on their drags. The Hamilton Lodge Ball, which began in Harlem in 1869, became a landmark event where black and white performers defied cross-dressing laws while they partied and celebrated. Meanwhile, William Dorsey Swann, a formerly enslaved black man who lived in D.C., organized his own drag events and boldly declared himself the Queen of Drag. These events blended satire, survival, and solidarity amid rampant criminalization and persecution. That sounds an awful lot like Stonewall in 1969, and unfortunately some more recent events, like the May 2nd police raid at Pittsburgh's P-Town, where armed, bulletproof vested cops interrupted a drag show in the name of a compliance check. Compliance indeed. Today, you'll see drag kings, queens, and non-binary artists, each crafting unique personas. Drag queens, often cisgender men or trans women, might channel hyper-feminine glamour, while drag kings, often cisgender women or trans men, play with hyper-masculine swagger. But here's the key. Drag isn't about the performer's personal gender identity per se. It's about performance, creativity, and poking fun at society's rigid rules. Let's talk about some common myths about drag. Some will call them uninitiated detractors. Some claim that drag mocks women. Actually, most artists celebrate gender, all people, men, women, and everybody, femininity and masculinity as an art form and not a joke. Really, if there's a joke to be found, it's in society's norms that put people in boxes. It's also strange that when people say this, they seem to forget that drag kings exist. We don't really hear folks complaining about that, which leads me to think that it's homophobia dressed up as protecting women. And where have we heard that one before? We just love it when folks mix misogyny with a little bit of paternalism. Anyways, others might confuse drag with cross-dressing, but cross-dressing is simply wearing clothes associated with another gender, while drag is about performance, like a rock star putting on a wild outfit for a concert. And those two things are different, of course, than trans identity as well. Let's talk about another myth. Some people ask, does drag really matter for the whole LGBT community, or is it really for folks that enjoy their drag brunches and funny lip syncing? Well, let's think about that. Drag is a celebration of queer joy, a protest against boring gender boxes, and a way of building community. So the next time you see a drag show, you're not just watching sequins and costumes and things like that. You're witnessing a centuries-old tradition of defiance and creativity and just fabulousness all around. So even if drag isn't, say, your thing, the thing that you find entertaining, it's still a part of our LGBT heritage and our tradition of protest and breaking down gendered walls. It's something we can all celebrate. On the other side of that same coin, some people ask, well, how exactly is drag queer? Look, I know that, general stage performance involves people getting dressed up. What makes drag really queer? Well, first off, that's sort of an interesting question, because if you know anything about theater culture, it's always been pretty queer. But anyways, drag is inherently queer because it challenges rigid gender norms, it celebrates LGBT resistance, and it creates spaces for people to express themselves in bold and loud ways. Drag is rooted in community activism and artistic rebellion. It uses parody and spectacle to deconstruct social norms, and it's really just a lot of fun. I mean, gay is about being happy, right? I mentioned the word parody. Parody is central to what drag is and what it does. It hyperbolizes, it exaggerates different aspects of our society's boxes and norms. And when you exaggerate those things, it kind of makes the rules look a little bit silly. It helps us realize that the things around us, like gender, are often just performances that are shaped by culture, by the clothes we wear and what society says fits with this or fits with that other box. Let's move on to another question. Is drag trans? Is drag about trans stuff and are all drag performers trans, or just trans folks waiting for their cisgender egg to crack? Well, drag inherently gender bends, that's a part of it, but drag is a performance art, while being trans is about gender identity. Most drag artists return to their daily lives after the shows. They take off the makeup and all of the big costumes, whereas trans people live authentically as their true gender every day. So that's why you're not seeing the spectacle around trans folks like you would with drag professionals, drag queens, and kings. And yes, some trans people do drag, but these two things are distinct, performance versus identity. Another common and unfortunate myth is that drag is inherently sexual. While some performances cater to adult audiences, many are family-friendly, like Drag Queen Story Hour. Like any art, drag adapts to its context, just like all media, some of which is meant for adults, and others are meant for broader audiences. You don't see people trying to ban all movies just because some are rated R. But also some folks believe or get confused here because they think that any kind of gender bending is explicit. But I don't see them censoring Bugs Bunny or Mrs. Doubtfire, so I don't really take this as a good faith argument against drag. Okay, that about covers that ground. If you have other questions about LGBT art and life, ask away at outcenter.org/questions. And if you want to support our work and continue supporting the making of these videos, go to outcenter.org/donate.